Thank you so much for staying with us. The River State Governor, Wike, has said the government will not go back on its timelines for the execution of projects, especially as it gets set to mark 2 years in office. The governor was speaking during his latest inspection tour to some project sites. Our correspondent Emmanuel tells us more.
It's the continuation of the inspection of projects ahead of the 2-year anniversary in the life of the administration of the government of River State. The ongoing construction work at the Rumokoro Market and Car Park is the first port of call. The governor is received by some of his supporters.
To make sure that we keep up our promises and to see that what we are supposed to roll out reverse at 50 as part of our second year anniversary in office. We're quite satisfied with what we've seen. We've seen the level of work that, by the grace of God, this will be commissioned this May.
At the State School of Nursing, Rumeme, the governor is displeased with the state of things.
He can't believe that human beings can stay there and they say School of Nursing. So I've told the Permanent Secretary Minister of Health to go there with architects to see what we can do to bring back the school what it's supposed to be, even if it means down to shut it down temporarily and put it in the situation that people can say, yes, this is School of Nursing. And it has to do with health.
According to the state government, there will be no going back on the set timelines for the completion of projects. Emmanuel Erei, Channels Television News.
Following the approval by the President for the payment of the second tranche of the Paris Club loan refunds to states that dispersed the first batch, the Governor of Bayelsa State, Seriake Dixon, has given assurances that the monies expected will not be misused. Governor Dixon told journalists in Yanagwa, the state capital, that financial transparency is the watchword of his administration.
In this state, the management of your public resources is not secret. We hold large meetings to discuss it. Large meetings to discuss it. Everybody knows what we are spending money on. After salaries, whatever is left goes into project. That's why we're able to do all of this. That's why you have a 50 billion airport coming up, the biggest. 3.5 kilometers. A project that even federal government cannot embark on now. You have seen them now for almost 2 years, federal government. It's not easy as a government to bring up big projects like this. It takes a lot of focus, determination, and prudence and commitment. So this is what we are doing. In this government, we don't deduct 1 naira from local government funds from 2012 to the date. All I've said is you have a responsibility to manage your own allocation in your councils. Declare it to your stakeholders every month, as I'm doing so here.
Governor of Bayelsa State, Seriake Dixon. China has offered to lend Nigeria a helping hand to boost the agricultural sector. For more on that story on Business News, here's Emana Amawe.
You first. First Bank.
Thank you for staying with us. Welcome to Business News. China has offered the federal government a $4.5 billion credit line to acquire strategic machinery for agriculture and rural development. This was made known today by the Zamfara State Governor, Mr. Abdulaziz Yari, after a meeting with President Muhammadu Buhari and the Agriculture Minister, Mr. Audu Ogbe, in Abuja, the nation's capital. Mr. Yari, who is the chairman of the Governors Forum, says the offer, which is subject for final approval by the National Assembly, will be presented at Cabinet meeting on Wednesday. The loan carries an interest rate of 1% and a 20-year repayment period. And the Deputy Director in charge of Financial Policy Regulation at the Central Bank of Nigeria, Dr. Hassan Mahmood, is optimistic that the current efforts of the fiscal and monetary authorities would help in stabilizing the country's economy and the markets. Dr. Mahmood was speaking today on our Business Morning program on the latest Article 4 report of the International Monetary Fund released late last week and the new Financial Sector Stability Report of the Central Bank.
If you look at the IMF report, you will see developments in the external sector are actually favorable. Driving force of this is the exchange rate. When the inflows to the external reserves picks up, because now we are seeing, even though our balance of payment position is positive, terms of trade is negative. However, with the things that are going on now, the CBN activities, the recovery in the economy, you see uptick in activities in the manufacturing sector, and even the global economy that is picking up. The Niger Delta thing that is sterilizing, getting to normal. So you will be seeing a shift in the trends of the trajectory of global trade. For Nigeria, you will be seeing positive terms of trade from the IMF statistics that is just released, and we're also seeing significant growth in export in 2017 and 2018.
Now, NIPCO PLC says it has received approval from the Securities and Exchange Commission and the Nigerian Stock Exchange to change the name of Mobil Oil Nigeria to 11 PLC. This follows the company's completion of the acquisition of ExxonMobil's 60% equity stake. The Group Managing Director of NIPCO PLC, Mr. Venkataraman Venkatapathi, told journalists in Lagos that the company would also review the two existing business models with the aim of synchronizing and harmonizing their operations. He explains that NIPCO intends that each of the entities will remain and function independently, and focus will then be placed on the expansion of the retail footprint under the Mobil brand. And the Nigerian equities market slipped further in the second trading session for the week on renewed sell-offs from key financial and industrial stocks. Let's take a look at how the stocks performed today. Here's BC Adebayo.
Investors in the local stock market were more upbeat on Tuesday as transactions climbed some 50% higher and some losses posted on Monday taper off. The broad index finished 0.03% in red, but much lower than Monday's near 1% decline as consumer and industrial goods stocks post modest advances. Total turnover rose to 180.2 million shares, worth 1.62 billion naira in some 3,000 deals. Later in the trading day were healthcare GlaxoSmithKline, flour mills, and Tier 1 lender Access Bank. Mid-cap consumer goods, CAP PLC, and Nascon led the advances, followed by agro-allied livestock feeds. And on the flip side, you find the heavyweights, Forte Oil, Honeywell Flour, and Mansard Insurance dragging the counters. And that's it on the stock market reports. I am BC Adebayo.
In the meantime, it's a mixture of greens and reds across the global markets today as investors focus attention on upcoming US-China summit later this week amid political uncertainties. Here's how the markets fared today. That's Business News Tonight. Thank you for staying with us. I'm Emana Amawe. It's back to you, Melinda.
You first. First Bank.
The federal government has flagged off the Train the Trainer program for teachers on special needs education and HIV/AIDS awareness in 6 geopolitical zones of the country. The Director General of the National Commission for Colleges of Education, Mr. Aliu Bapa, explained that the training is part of government's effort to improve the culture of equal opportunities for all Nigerians. He advised the participants to ensure that they learn all they can so the goal can be achieved.
Sector of the country.
Teachers drawn from the north-central part of the country at a Train the Trainers workshop on special educational needs and HIV and AIDS awareness education.
On one of our invited guests,
To set the ball rolling, the Minister of Education, who was represented by the Director General of the National Commission for Colleges of Education, Professor Aliu Bapa, said the training, which has been in place for over 7 years, continue to be necessary to ensure that all persons get access to quality and timely education.
Every Nigerian citizen is entitled to a functional education that will enable him or her to live a productive and fulfilled life. No person should be discriminated against on the basis of his or her physical, mental, or intellectual capability. Part of the effort to achieve this goal is through the entrenchment of the culture of inclusiveness and equality of opportunities for all to explore their full potentials through education.
The Director General of the National Teachers Institute, organizers of the training, blames the number of teachers being trained on the economic situation in the country. He appeals for more support from the government.
You will notice, distinguished guests, that the number of participants reduced drastically this year. This is due to the fact that only about 40% of the amount appropriated has so far been released. Expected that each master trainer will train at least 5 teachers from either his or her school or within the neighborhood of their respective schools. In this way, a sizable number of teachers will benefit from the workshop.
The training is taking place simultaneously in the 6 geopolitical zones of the country. Amaka Okafo, Channels Television News.
From education to health matters, the Senate is asking the Federal Ministry of Health and the National Center for Disease Control to make the meningitis vaccine free in public health facilities across the country. This resolution followed a motion sponsored by Senator Gbenga Ashafa, who drew the attention of lawmakers to the meningitis outbreak, which has led to the death of 328 people. He stressed the need for an increase in the budget of the Federal Ministry of Health and its parastatals.
Observes that the outbreak has reached the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja, as reported by the news agency of Nigeria, NAN, on Wednesday, 29th March 2017, that the FCT Primary Healthcare Development Board recorded 4 deaths on Tuesday, 28th March 2017, in Durumi area of Abuja Municipal Area Council, Amad. Note that meningitis is a disease mostly associated with overcrowding, lack of ventilation, and usually is at its peak during the dry season between November and April. Further notes that this recent meningitis type is a new strand of meningitis called stereotype C, unlike the previous kind of meningitis called stereotype A, which has disappeared. Hence, the vaccine that provides protection for this type of meningitis is not commercially viable and needs to be acquired through a special process coordinated by the World Health Organization.
Still ahead on the news at 10. Ghana Football Association reappoints Kwesi Appiah as coach of the Black Stars after signing a 2-year contract. That's on Sports News. Stay with us.